I cannot believe it's been 4 or 5 years since we put the last underwater Urban Banx film out. That said, I've still been out here doing lots and lots of urban fishing. I absolutely love it. It's something I grew up doing. It's something I'll never stop doing. I love the locations. I love meeting the people. And to be fair, of course, some of the most memorable carp fishing in these bizarre, strange, unique, built-up places. We have, however, done another film. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a number of years, and that is visit Wales, Ireland, Scotland, and see what venues they have to offer. But most importantly, meet the people over there. You know, the concept of Urban Banx and the reason I love fishing in these places is primarily about the people. Not just the anglers, but the people you meet from everyday walks of life. You get to engage with them and show them a little insight into your passion, in this case, how much I love carp fishing. So without further ado, here it is. This is Urban Banx, the UK. I can't believe it, we're in Scotland. I've never been to Scotland before, let alone come up here to do any fishing. I am really, really excited. Although saying that, it's been incredibly difficult to find urban venues, especially in Scotland. However, a good friend of mine, Drew, he has pointed us in the right direction. The first destination is a park lake, although looking at it on Google Maps, it doesn't look particularly urban. There are some nice fish in there, so we're gonna go and check that out first. Hopefully find a few fish if it's urban enough. If it isn't, we're gonna head to a little brick pit. It's another venue that Drew sort of pointed out to me. Yeah, I'm gonna go and check that out and probably drop on there for the night. Really excited, let's do it. Scotland, Urban Banx. Well, coming to the first corner, the wind's trickling down here. Went and had a nice chat with a fellow on the other side. He's not caught anything yet. He's definitely in the right area though, because there's a lot of coloured water, a lot of fizzing up, and I've even seen a few dark shapes sort of drifting through. About this big. Now I see one fish that was probably a double, so I'm going to give it a little go. They're kind of sort of consolidated mainly around a sort of emerging set of lily pads. Yeah, just puffing up on the silt. I'm just going to flick a little bit of bread in, see if we can get a quick bite. What is urban anyway? You know, there is no benchmark for it. It's what you want it to be. That's a bit of graffiti or a park bench or. For me, it's the general public. I think that's the thing that makes it not a quintessential carp fishery or a syndicate. It's been in amongst the general public, and there's kids over there at the moment building a little dam, and yeah, there's a family walking around over there. Yeah, as much as it's not bricks and graffiti, it's still urban because you get to meet members of the general public that are non-fishermen, and if I'm lucky enough to catch a fish, I know it will be a moment for them as much as it is for me. I'll give it half an hour. They were very, very spooky with a bit of bread. There was lots of bait in front of me. Clearly an angler had been in there today. There was some worm and caster left on the decking. I actually switched over to worm just to see if a little bit of movement might entice a bite. But to be fair, 3 casts later, the fish that were there kind of vacated the area. So without wasting any further time, let's go and check this brick pit out. Well, we've still got a bit of light. See if we can find some there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The brick pit was just a short drive and was most certainly urban, wedged in the middle of an industrial park and surrounded by a scrap car lot, warehousing and an old bus graveyard. It clearly didn't have an official angling club and had become overgrown with limited water access, but there were well-trodden meandering paths that had clearly been created by the carp anglers that fished there.
Bumped into a couple of the locals. It's been busy at the weekend. I think there's been 6 on. One guy did have a few bites from this area, fishing across to a shallower bit of water. From what I can gather, speaking with a few people, it is very, very deep. Zigs are a good tactic, or fishing that shallow water if the weather's good enough. And to be fair, we've got a lovely sunny day today, and it shouldn't drop too cold tonight. So I think I will have a good look down the other end where the wind's blowing, get up a few trees, but gut instinct at the moment is drawn to this sort of reedy corner, the sort of out of bounds area around to the left here. I've got a little boat with me. I'm going to go out for a little explore and quite possibly drop in here for the night.
You say you love me when you are alone, but when you are fine, you don't need my love. I have to stop going back to you, back to you, back to you. You say you love me when you are alone, but when you are fine, you don't need my love. I have to stop going back to you, back to you, back to you.
Can't quite believe I'm sitting here eating deep fried haggis from the fish and chip shop, which is actually really, really tasty. Washing it down with a bit of iron brew. And yeah, I'm pretty gassed. Like, see a few fish milling around at and sort of centre to 2/3 away across the lake. Decided to go in with some zigs, purely because the weather's been really nice the last few days. We're now well into spring and those fish are definitely going to be looking for warmth in the upper layers. And would you believe it, I did see lots of fish milling around very, very close to the surface, eating a hatch. So 3 zigs have gone out, kind of staggered them across the lake to try and cut off any fish that are passing between me. I've sort of picked a very central location. And I do really like the look of this left-hand side. It's definitely shallower up there. There's lots of weed coming up and some decent snags and big beds of reeds on the far bank. So I'm going to put my fourth rod up there with a bottom bait, cultured hook bait, little flake mix, and definitely including some pellet in it, some 2 and 6 mil pellet. Speaking with the local lads, they said that there's been a few fish introduced from various different fish farmers, which is great, you know, for the scene up here. And I'm sure those fish have been brought up feeding on pellets. So that'll be my fourth line of attack. Yeah, it's been a really cool evening. A little bit rushed, a little bit hectic. Drew come down, didn't think I was going to see Drew till tomorrow. Absolute top lad, known him for years now. First met him down at Royston Lakes many, many years ago on a kind of fish social event. And yeah, kept in touch ever since. So it's great to hook up with him and no doubt we'll spend a bit more time with him tomorrow. For now, I'm going to finish these, get that last rig tied, get it out there and get a bit of much needed sleep. Fingers crossed we get first Scottish carp through the night. What a night. I'm so happy, really enjoyed myself. Finished off my haggis, which was lovely. Boys went to bed. Yeah, we were all shattered. Real long day yesterday. But I had a couple more rods to still do. I say a couple more rods. I actually had 3 zigs out and decided to sacrifice one of those zigs for 2 bottom bait rods. Towed them down to my left. In that real nice weedy area, and it was mega. I put the mega light on, I'm just sort of drifting around in the boat, looking for channels in the weed, found some good intersection points, and yeah, just lowered a couple of rigs down, one with a cultured hook bait on, one with a couple of bits of sweet corn. I'd knocked up a little mix with some flake, 2 and 6 mil pellet, a little bit of squid hemp, and some sweet corn, and just put a little sprinkling of that over the top. Didn't go mental, just fishing for a bite. And yeah, I was really happy with the placement of those rods. But as I said, it did mean I'd sacrificed a zig, which I'm a bit gutted about because just gone 4 o'clock this morning, I had a take. It's no giant, it's a common, you know, it'll probably just scrape past the 10-pound barrier. But yeah, I couldn't be happier, I really couldn't. First ever Scottish carp from a really cool lake. Yeah, had the bite at 4 o'clock this morning on a really long zig, far too long for those 9-foot scopes anyway, about 11 foot, fish probably 2.5 foot underneath the surface. And I'm really glad I incorporated those maggots into the top of it. They were definitely on a hatch last night, they've definitely been on a hatch this morning. And I just think sometimes those additions of a couple of wriggling maggots on the top, they're enough to entice a bite, and that's exactly what happened. I got one! Couldn't be happier. Drew's come down this morning, dropped us off some milk, brought me some bin bags so I can clear all that rubbish up in my swim. But most importantly, he's got a tackle shop, West Lothian Angling, and I've turned up without an unhooking mat, and he brought that along for me. I really thought there'd be an opportunity on the floater, but it's not looking great. I've got a couple of rods positioned in the shallows that I really feel should do me a bite. If they don't, I'm going to go away very happy, go and check out Urban Banx again, pop into Drew's shop because I need some PVA, and then head on our travels, maybe even stopping off at Glasgow. But what a wicked way to start, proper buzzing. It's coming up for 9 o'clock, and as much as I'd like to sit here for another couple of hours, the wind's picked up, nothing really materialised on the surface. I've had a further look up there, got up a tree, can't see any signs of fish up in the shallows. And yeah, I'm definitely not cutting my losses because I've had a massive result, but yeah, I'm going to head off now. Already reeled one of the zigs in. This is the one that done me the bite last night. As I said when I had that fish, really glad I stuck those maggots on the top. They were definitely on that hatch this morning. Normally I would have just used a zig screw, but by incorporating a little size 16 hook, it allows me to thread on 2 or 3 maggots, all that movement in the top. And yeah, in this instance, it was enough to nick a bite. I'm gonna get packed up now, get all this rubbish put into bags, bid the place farewell, pop into Drew's shop, grab some PVA, and head on with the rest of the adventure. How's the song go? You've been singing it to me all morning.
I've gone fishing with the fishies hang out, the pike and the pearl,
The salmon and the trout. I love it, I love it. Because that to me, Drew, you know, having never been to Scotland before, but stuff I've watched maybe on YouTube or on old John Wilson stuff, you know, it was always trout and salmon.
Yes,
always trout and salmon. And
that's
pike.
where,
And
yeah,
big
that's
lots of pike.
where I got brought up, through the trout and salmon. My granddad was a good angler and he was very good with flies, and he knew every fly, different conditions, and from there I just adapted, and I was lucky my uncle, he'd done freshwater fishing, and we had a wee local pond and it had all your species in it, then started off fishing for the roach and the perch and catching wee minnows and going for the bigger perch, but fishing's just always had a grip in me.
But I know your uncle now, he's got a boat fishing,
He's got
a big
his boat.
skate.
Yes,
but
massive
why
skate.
then you, as a young man in Scotland with all this incredible game fishing?
The best
and
fishing in the
But
sea
why
fishing.
then carp?
I don't know, it's always been a self-drive. I've always loved carp fishing, and at my age it was hard because there wasn't many guys into carp fishing. It was an older generation, and I just don't know, I've always thrived carp, I've grew carp all my life, and I don't know what it was. As soon as I caught my first carp, I basically never really looked back.
Did you have to travel for that? Did you have to go to England to get that first carp, or did you catch it
No,
from
I caught that
Scotland?
one in Scotland,
You did?
yes,
So
yes.
maybe there's that affection there.
The
'cause you
affection
caught
there,
Scottish carp
but I
and-
have caught a lot of fish. Like I've been to Florida Keys, I've caught tarpon over 100, I've caught many species, but carp just, I don't know what it is, it takes my boxes. As I would say maybe getting older, the drive's getting worse. Like
the obsession.
The obsession.
How many waters are we talking? Because you know we've known each other a long time. I've spoke to you many times before about coming up to Scotland. This trip was a very specific brief. I wanted, because you've said to me you could go here. I said you've got to be urban, Drew. I want an urban. How many waters are we talking about in Scotland that are urban being? We were discussing this yesterday evening. Just places that aren't just a carp fishery, where there's mums, where there's kids, where there's people kicking a football.
There's maybe 6 or 7 park lakes.
Okay, that's that little.
Yeah, that little. Yeah, 6, 7 park lakes that I know of anyway.
Okay.
The Carp group's got 5 waters. There's a few private waters.
Okay. What syndicates?
Syndicates and stuff, which are getting fences around it, which is pretty good.
Good.
But with all the waters we've got up here, like the big locks, there's none that's really, nobody's really grabbed it and went for it with a fishery up here.
A lifetime of angling.
Yeah, and because there's big fish about, but there's like not many. So it depends, you've got to weigh your time up, you know.
We're going to go to Ellyburn, which is just round the corner from the shop. But if we got time,
why not go to Hugginfield?
Is this the one in Glasgow?
Yeah, so there's a rumour there's a £40 comment.
You said this to me on the phone, you're like, right, I think there's a big one in there.
A big one there. That's pretty big as well. Maybe, I'm going to say maybe 35 acres.
Okay, a bit
it's got some other fish in it, but the old originals haven't got into there. But that's a Scottish 30 common there.
Yeah, wow.
But there's a 2-tone mirror in there. It's just absolutely hard to catch. It's old as your boots. Wow. It's but it's definitely worth it. It's got a bit of history, kind of Glasgow, city centre as well.
We should
but we need, I would say, because we must pop in there and have a wee look as well.
We should find a time.
10 minutes even to walk around it, but...
Right, actually, let's just do that. Let's go fishing now. Pop back down to that little park lake from yesterday. Much quieter today, so obviously not bank holiday Monday. Thought the fish might be a little, hang on. We just had one take. They've been, and again, I was about to say, they're really uninterested. Kind of left it a bit late in the day. It's about 1 o'clock now. But there is one coming up and actually kissing those floaters. as I speak, which is a really good sign. I'm not overly confident of a bite, but I think if I keep persevering with it, don't go mad with the bait, a little bit of bread, a few slicker floaters, a little pinch of riser pellets every so often. Maybe we can nick one more Scottish carp, that'd be pretty cool, man. And Drew's just up the bank. He knows the lake really well, he's the chairman of the club. Hopefully he can get in amongst a few fish and make an opportunity happen. Mate, do you know what? I would have rather been on Raisby 20 years ago for Mary than on this gaff. It is rock hard. What an amazing way to end. It was a real grueling sort of hour and a half. Drew pulled out one, I pulled out one, but eventually I managed to nick this little ghostie. I think it's probably the only one in here, haven't seen any others. Definitely got a little tint of iron brew in it, and yeah, it's just made me so happy. This is what Urban Banx is all about, coming to really cool places and catching really cool and unique fish. And just to top off a crazy sort of 20 hours, the gentleman's just turned up and he's walking his sheep. Why not? Why not? We need to get in the motor, on the road to Stranraer, and we're getting a ferry over to Belfast because, as if catching my first and second carp from Scotland wasn't enough, I'm now going to go and try and get an urban carp from Ireland. It's going to be a tough order, but we give it a go.
We said our goodbyes to Drew before heading to the ferry crossing, taking in some not so urban views as we drove along the stunning Scottish coastline.
Apologies for the noise, guys. We are on the ferry. We're heading from Stranraer over to Ireland. It's very noisy, so apologies for the poor sound quality. We're going to make up with a beautiful sunset. Yeah, really excited. Had the best 24 hours so far. Scotland was super kind to me. Big ups to everyone we met. Yeah, Ireland, Northern Ireland. We're going to a place called the Willis Angling Community Project. It was sort of founded and started around 10 years ago. Lots of local anglers, lots of the local community. Took a very rundown park lake and totally transformed it. And I'm really excited to head there now and check it out. It's just south of Belfast. We're probably not going to arrive till gone midnight. It's going to be pitch black. I'm going to stick that moonshine on, go for a big explore round, hopefully bump into a few feeding fish, give them a little bit of food, and try really hard to get an Urban Banx Irish carp. We are here. We're in Northern Ireland. It's actually a place very close to my heart. My father's Irish, lots of my relatives are, and as a child I spent my 6-week summer holidays over there. Yeah, mum and dad used to stick me on an aeroplane, fly over here, get collected by a relative, and yeah, just had the best time growing up over here. Learned to fish the brooks and the streams for the trout. However, back then, carp never really were on my radar. Yes, I was doing a little bit of it back in England, but they just weren't over here. The scene has somewhat grown since all those years ago, and there's a few places that have now stocked carp, including this ridiculous venue, Willis Community Angling Project. And there's a huge housing estate all around it, and once upon a time this was a very rundown park. However, the local people, the community, the anglers, they all came together and they've transformed it into something truly spectacular. And it's got a really good stock of fish. Like I say, when we turned up here last night at midnight, I didn't really know what to expect. I've heard about these kind of projects before, but to see one firsthand, to see the thousands of hours worth of hard work and love that have gone into something like this, these guys can be so proud of what they've achieved. It really is a special place. And the fish, they played ball too. Yeah, we got here late, as I said. I got the rods out, had a little feel around, sat there listening for a little while, saw one show out here, one show down to my right, and the anticipation and atmosphere was really starting to build. Decided to get the pole out to keep minimal disturbance, clip the little multi-light on the front and just ship down this right-hand margin, put a little bit of flakes and pellets and hemp and a few whole 15 millers in the spoon, little short slip D rig, shipped it out there. And yeah, it properly kicked off. Managed 5 bites through the night from about 1:30 till 5ish this morning, and I've just had a nice common not too long ago. Really lovely carp, all very, very unique and different. Yes, some of them have been small, but man, they're pretty, and they're the future of the Irish carp scene. This was the biggest of the bunch, all really unique and special fish. Yes, they've been small, but yeah, I love them all. What a carp, what a place. Gonna have a slow pack down now, try and drag it out for an hour, maybe trickle a few floaters in, but we really do need to carry on with the rest of the adventure. Next stop, Southern Ireland, we're going to Dublin. What a trip so far. It really was a lovely way to end. Everything's packed up, just got to get the gear back to the motor on the barrow. I just couldn't help myself. Set the floater rod up, fed them some slicker floaters and some riser pellets. And they were really having it, to be fair, but the moment that line went out, they were put right on edge. However, a little bit of perseverance, letting the wind drift the float in towards those trees. I caught one final, absolutely mega Northern Irish Urban Banx carp, and I couldn't be happier. The trip's going so well so far. Southern Ireland, here we come. We're in Dublin. Thought I was going to go and get a steak Guinness pie and a proper pint of the black stuff, but instead we've come to another park lake. To be honest, this is a huge bonus opportunity, and frankly speaking, we walked sort of 2/3 of it. There's a big old chop on the water, and I didn't think it was going to be possible. However, bit of observation, we have found them. They're down on the windward end. They're sort of puffing up on the silt. An elderly lady just came round, threw some bread in. There was bits fluttering down, and they've dropped down and had a little munch. So yeah, I'm proper excited. I'm going to go and try and catch a carp from Southern Ireland. They're not massive, which is a kind of a reoccurring theme here, but they're lovely little commons, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. Grab the sawn-offs, grab some maggots, bit of PVA, and probably lower in some little magaliner rigs, and possibly fish a lift float, but we've literally got about an hour and a half to make it happen. So let's get going. So exciting. Just really nice observing them so close in. People have been coming past, feeding bread, and basically every time that happens, not that they're feeding loads, it draws the coots, the ducks, the swans, everything pops over, lots of water's disturbed, the birds are pooing, and yeah, the carp literally move in immediately. If the birds ain't there, the carp are just sort of out of the area. So I started feeding a little bit of bread, got the swans right interested, and yeah, just been working it really. I set a little float rod up, fishing the lift float. I managed to hook one on the worm. Yes! Well, it's only a little babby, but it was a lot of fun catching it. Thought I might even get a second one, but they do seem to have spooked. Yeah, just simple tactics, little size 12 floater claw, zig float, lift float, and a good old fashioned worm. That brought the bite. Time to get going now. Gonna go and have a bite to eat, find a nice pub somewhere, have a pint of Guinness. We've got a ferry booked for 8, which is gonna take us across to Holyhead, down to Cardiff, big 5.5 hour drive, which we'll see is pretty much driving through the night and arriving at first light tomorrow morning, but I can't wait. Wales, here we come. Mega. It was going splendidly well. Got on that ferry, had a bite to eat, nice pint of Guinness to round off Ireland, which had been absolutely fantastic. Just on that note, before I get into the absolute fundamental negatives, big thank you once again to Adam, Dusto, Bill, Danny, people at Willis, Community Angling Project. Yeah, Ireland was great. This is Wales. This is Wales. Got off the ferry, tanking it along. Dan was driving, I was the navigator, and then it dawned on us both. We've got no fuel. Or we've got very little fuel. Never mind, modern technology, even at the top of a mountain, not great Wi-Fi, 4G. We managed to do fuel store locator, and we went to one and it was closed, and we went to another and it was closed, and another and another and so on. And every single petrol station was shut. None of them had pay at the pump facility. This old girl's got no diesel in her, and we're waiting here now for some lovely Welsh person to come and open their filling station so we can get on the road. It's given us 9 hour delay, 8-9 hour delay, which I suppose once I calm down, it's not the end of the world. We'll get down to Cardiff probably around lunchtime now, go and meet up with good friends Jason, Freesty and Nige, and have a little look at Roath Park. But it is a shame because we could have had one in the net by now. It does mean I've had a lot of sleep, which means I've got a lot of energy, which means hopefully the final leg of the trip will still be a huge buzz and a huge result. Right, shall we go, boys? Let's go and get her filled up.
Before driving down to the Welsh capital and meeting with the lads for the night, we'd first spend the afternoon with Rhiannon, who is the Welsh ladies Carp team captain, at a park lake that she manages an hour and a half out of Cardiff itself.
Hello!
I just messaged you saying
Oh, I'm so grateful for this, thank you. Hello, Hunter. And I know you like fishing, don't you? Yeah, good lads, good lads. This is just... Mate, all of these people, oh no, I wouldn't fish an urban place, it's full of this and full of that, and there's rubbish. Look at it. Absolute paradise. The most lovely locals, bumped into the local dog walkers, and I'm just so excited to have a little go. Having seen what I've just seen, I am so excited. The fish are beautiful, the place is beautiful, the people are lovely, and we've got a whole day. We've got half a day ahead of us now with glorious weather to go and explore this mega cool park lake. Yeah, proper buzzing. I think I'm gonna get down there. It's a fair old barrow push up to the lake. Just switched the batteries. I've got really what I need for a nice sort of spring carp fishing session. I'm gonna take the bushwhacker with me. Got my squid mix from yesterday still, just topped that with a few fresh floaters. I think the first thing I'll do is watch where the wind's going, try and bring a drift of floaters over the top of them without catapulting directly onto their heads. See if we can get them taken and try and nick an early bite. While I'm sort of hoping that they build up a little bit of confidence on the floater, on the floaters, I will also put a little bit of squid flake in the edge and stuff, but I just want to bite. I just want to try and catch one. One of them classic moments. You turn up, there's fish everywhere, they're all super chilled, make a couple of casts, boom, they go to ground. Yeah, there were some really nice ones out there, but beggars can't be choosers. I just wanted to get one. It's a lovely little common, looks proper ancient, and I did it with pretty minimal disturbance. The fight wasn't too savage. Hopefully they haven't spooked too much. I'm gonna let him chill there for a minute, get a bit more bread in. I've tried drifting it on the wind. They're not happy to feed in open water, so it's going to be a case of getting bits of bread lodged in amongst the lily pads, and that'll give me really good line concealment as well, because I can cast over the top and bring my line over the pads, and hopefully they won't spook that way. But yeah, I'm proper buzzed we got one. After all that palaver last night, I've got one from Wales already. Mega old common. Huge thank you to Rhiannon for letting us onto this beautiful little park lake. Everyone's been so lovely, all the passers-by keep asking us, have you had one yet? Have you had one? Yes, I have now. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. We're not gonna hit the road just yet. I'm gonna spend a good chunk of the day here really enjoying the sunshine and this beautiful environment. Mega cool one.
Pull me in, push me out. Pull me in,
has been a really enjoyable sort of late morning, afternoon down here at the park, but it's been really tricky, really tricky. Saw all those fish when we arrived, obviously got far too excited and carried away, and yeah, they've kind of schooled me for the bulk of the afternoon. Nicked that little one, then had a bream on the top, which was quite bizarre, and after that sort of disturbance, it pushed them out a little bit too far to fish for them with a free line and the bread, so grabbed a controller rod, 9-foot scope, small controller, big long hook link, and fished bits of bread on it. Sort of basically watching the way they were patrolling and swimming, casting over, very gently retrieving onto them, and did get one kind of aborted, missed opportunity, but that was sort of even more disturbance and just sent them further back. I then contemplated sort of loading the barrow and just lapping, but at this point the wind was all over the place, swirling, and I really thought the only opportunity I had to try and nick another bite was to get the zigs out. I knew if I grabbed the zig rods and started casting leads around to try and find out how deep it was, those leads impacting the water was just going to push them further, probably to ground to be fair, underneath the weed, and they would have just bolted. So utilising the leading bridge and a braid rod, I put a 4-ounce lead on the braid rod, attached the bridge to the spoon, and then put the lead inside it, put the braid through the wire, ship it out into the vicinity of where I wanted to position those zigs, which was more often than not on an intersection point or a patrol route. Yeah, just observing the fish. The great thing about the park is you can get up some really high banks and you get great visibility of what the fish are doing, what patrol routes they're using. So yeah, managed to discreetly ship out. I can then tip the spoon over, drop the lead down, bring it back up so it hits the bridge itself, and then just loosening the clutch, I can pay off a foot at a time, a foot at a time, a foot at a time, and very accurately understand exactly how deep it was. That information there then allowed me to tie up the zig I chose. A couple of the rods, I fished them just over depth, so sort of laying on the surface a little bit. The other two, I fished them just underneath the surface, giving me a few different options depending on where those fish might want to feed. So yeah, shipped them all out really discreetly, really quietly, sat up there on the rods for maybe an hour and a half, possibly even 2 hours. Had one kind of did, and the bobbin sort of hit the bite alarm. There's a possibility it could have been a bream, it might have been a carp doing me. Either way, I didn't actually connect with anything, just reeled in some weed. And then I started to get itchy feet. I really couldn't see anything up there at all. I went further and further up the bank, was looking. It looked like the fish had pushed down here completely. So I've spent the last sort of hour down this end of the lake. It really is cool, man. The people are so nice. There's a few small carp, similar to the sort of size of the one I caught earlier. And I've got them sort of coming in and feeding on that sort of squid flake mix. But really, it's quite quiet. The zigs are still out there. And I'm on massive borrowed time now. We should have left hours ago to head down towards Cardiff to Roath Park, but I just don't want to leave. I feel there's one more bite. I kind of almost want to stay here the night, but that means I don't get the opportunity to go and see Jason, Reesty and Nige, you know, some great friends, actually appeared in a previous episode of Urban Banx when we fished the wharf in Cardiff. So as much as I feel it just owes me one more bite, as much as I'd love to stay at this lovely park and do the night, I'm going to literally put a timer on it, give myself 20 minutes now, have a final little look to see if there's anything grubbing around on any edge spots, and then I'm going to have to cut my losses, get packed up and head down to Cardiff to go and meet the boys. But it has been a really cool afternoon, really sick park lake. I'd definitely love to come back one day. Well, I was just about to reel them in, like literally. Boys are getting restless, I'm getting restless. We're really late to get down to Cardiff. Just had a little drop back. And yeah, is it a carp, is it a bream, is it a tench even? I just had a tench a second ago. So much weed out there. It's proper locked me up solid. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Oh man.
the trials and tribulations of angling. I really felt it owed me one more bite, and I've proper grafted. Yeah, tricky little pond, real tricky little pond. And it could have so easily not ended like this. You know, 5 minutes earlier, I would have reeled in and gone. I'm so glad I just hung it out a little bit longer. They started showing and flopping and boshing, and yeah, it's another little one, but it's a little mirror, and it's the perfect way to end an amazing afternoon here at Darren Park. Really amazing. Yes, that's how I wanted to end it. Nailed one on a zig. It was really difficult, but I just felt it owed me a bite, and feel really grateful to nick one more. But we're super late, need to get back to the motor, get it stripped, get it reloaded, and drive the hour or so down to Cardiff. It's going to a new park for me, Rofe Park, not fished it before. Yeah, gonna go and have a beer with the boys, catch up with them, and get the rods out for the night. Our final night before heading back to England. Yeah, it's been a mega trip.
Basically, the trip's just been amazing. Like, loads of small fish, don't get me wrong, but the people, the places, the adventure, everything has just gone so well. If anyone's looking down on us tonight and somehow this place gives up one of its prizes, oh mate, I'll be blown away. Properly blown away. But without further ado, I'm gonna do some graft, get some fresh rigs tied, got a bait boat. It's quite rare for me, but yeah. I want to keep it nice and simple, minimal disturbance, weeds pumping down here. Boys reckon you can see a few shows earlier. Yeah, oh, proper fingers crossed. What a seriously cool venue, Rofe Park. First saw it, yeah, 5-6 years ago. Drove past it along this particular road here. I remember looking over to my left just thinking, that's a mega bit of water. Really happy to get down here late last night and see Jason Nige. Ain't seen him for a long time now. Yeah, share a beer together, good catch up. Eventually got the rods out. It was late, probably about 11 o'clock. Kept things really simple, had the bait boat with me, and basically just fanned them out in a kind of arc, starting at the lighthouse and then working my way in to try and not sort of cut too much of the water off. But if fish should come up and down this margin, they might bump into one of those baited areas. Didn't go mad, fished nice long hook links, critically balanced sort of Ronnie Claw rigs, and then just a little bit of bait over the hook bait itself, maybe half a dozen boilies and a little bit of flake. And then in the other hopper, which I dropped probably a couple of metres further, a little bit more bait. But there's a fair old chop in the water, so I know that sort of flake and pellet, it's really been dispersed. Basically, I was fishing over minimal bait, pretty much singles. There was a few liners to start with on this set of left-hand rods, and I was a bit like, a couple of times I proper jumped up, you know, and I thought it might have materialised into something. It didn't. Crashed out at like 1, proper Park Lake antics. Got woke up a couple of times through the nights. Some weird people shining lights and little dogs running around, and it was all a bit bizarre. But yeah, got up this morning, probably about 5. It's quite mad sitting here. There's this lighthouse, and you wake up and you just can tell the time straight away. And yeah, hoped to see a few shows, didn't. It wasn't until about 7 o'clock this morning. A few have sort of sloshed and flopped out. Not loads, but enough to sort of get me on my toes again, get the bait boat back out and drop another couple of fresh rigs in the vicinity where those shows were. And I'm now looking at that clock and I'm on borrowed time. It's 8:45. I don't want to leave, but we've got a big drive back towards Essex. It is Friday now. It's going to be bad, certainly on the M25 with rush hour. However, I've got one more final push in me. We've been super blessed to go to Scotland, catch some amazing carp, go to Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, come to Wales yesterday to Darren Park and catch a couple of mega ones. I need to get one from England. So on the way home, I'm going to stop off somewhere. I'll jump on a phone, make a few calls, have a little look, something en route, and see if we can nick one final bite before wrapping this up. It's been a mega trip, really great. And I know even the lads have loved it. They always sort of are sceptical about coming out on these Urban Banx shoots. Yeah, we go to all these
places, but I think I can speak on behalf of them. Even they've said, mate, some of these venues have just been proper good. So, half an hour more, rods are coming in, van packed up, and we hit the road. One final stop off. We're back in England, 4 hour drive back from Cardiff. I am broken, I'm not gonna lie, I'm shattered. I just fell asleep for half an hour. I've woke up here in Kent, underneath the Dartford crossing. As I said, I think at the start of this film, kind of disorganised, hadn't really got a solid plan all the way through it. Finding venues in the various countries we've gone to, it has been difficult. I suppose England should have been easy. I fish here a lot, but yeah, left it totally to the last minute. Jumped on my phone on the way home, flew through my contacts list. Where can we go? Where can we go that's close to home, that's urban, might stand a chance of getting a quick bite? I know, I'll give Kev a call, and it takes us to this amazing place. It's a bit of a weird scenario. It's on an industrial estate. Unlike pretty much every Urban Banx I've ever shot before, it's always been about accessibility. People can come fishing there. This one you can't. We're behind razor wire, double fences. As I say, the Dartford Bridge is just there, but it is a really cool little venue, and I just need one quick carp before heading home. It's definitely urban. The sun's out. I'm gonna grab some floaters, grab the sword off, try and nick one final bite to wrap this up. And then I go home and have a shower and get some sleep. Thought we were never getting home towed. I thought we were in for another big night. Yes! Thanks, Kev. Really appreciate it, bro. I'd like to say it was a quick pit stop. It wasn't. It turned into more like an hour, probably even 2 hours. They've been right finicky. I've had to creep through the rushes. But yeah, got one. Really nice common. What a mega way to end. Pass in. Well, much like every single day, in fact, and every country we visited, the fishing has been tricky, incredibly rewarding, and this venue was no exception. Got there in the end, caught a lovely common on the bread bomb off the surface. To be fair, there was a couple of 20-pounders milling around with it, but we're all so tired. We've got families to go home to, loads of emails to catch up on, and I didn't want to run the risk of not catching one at all, so I took this stunning common. Yeah, mega trip. Huge thank you to Kev, huge thank you to everyone we've met along the way, the lads that helped me out with venues, the fisheries, the clubs, the fishermen we've met, and of course the general public we've bumped into along the way. It's just been an amazing trip. Yeah, can't wait to get out again. Who knows where the next adventure will be, but it'll be definitely somewhere cool, somewhere urban, catching some mega carp along the way.